Hello, Greater Philadelphia. I am Sarah Timon. This is Stacy Mitchell. We've got Nick behind the camera, and you are listening to Toole Time Real Estate Radio here on WWDB 860 AM. We are streaming live on Facebook, Instagram. We're on YouTube, so pop in and give us a like. Tom's not here today. He's trusting Stacy and I to hold up the show here. So hopefully we pull it off.
Fingers crossed.
Yep. We've got a couple different interesting topics to go over today. So we'll kind of just dive right in here. The first thing that we're going to talk about is an article from Housing Wire that says, "Is this the beginning of the end of the housing market recession?" So this just kind of unpacks, a good bit of data here. I'll kind of walk us through it. The article begins by saying that home prices held up in 2023. However, the sales volume in the housing market really cratered. So, consumers care about prices and of the homes and mortgage rates. And then the industry maybe focuses a little bit more on the transaction volume and, number of sales that went through. So overall, we are in a housing recession. If mortgage rates kind of go well here, if we get lucky with those, we might be at the bottom of the housing market recession. But there's a big piece here. Could also be, is the continued lack of affordable housing. Does that mean that we're kind of looking at a continued decline in the number of people that can actually afford to buy a home? So there were 567,000 single-family homes on the market, and that's up about 0.7% from last week. So that's like the weekly stats of where we were at. Housing inventory has been growing a little bit in November, which is kind of rare because seasonally, typically you wouldn't really see that, but we'll have to see if that kind of continues to go through. There were 62,000 new listings this week, and 9,000 of those already went under contract. And I guess year over year here, pending contracts saw fewer sales compared to last year until October, and now the trajectory is about the same. So it also goes on to kind of talk a little bit about home prices still holding strong. So home prices continue to be 2% above last year, and look to the end of the year like they'll probably be right around that level, with the median price of single-family homes at $430,000. So I mean I know we've like talked about this in the past on the show, but that is a very stable number to be at. If it was up a little bit higher, I feel like that would be fine as well. But that's a nice, healthy level to kind of be at. So those are just kind of some of the stats that were broken out in this article. It did also mention that if rates decline, we'll most likely be looking at less inventory. And if rates go up, that inventory is going to hold a little bit longer. So we'll see a larger supply there. So none of that was super surprising in kind of where everything's at. I think it is interesting that going into November here, there was a little bit of a spike. So that's exciting.
That was interesting because typically there is a slowdown around the holidays. And it's kind of, that's what, when I talk to people out in the field, that's what they're expecting.
Right.
They're like, well, nobody wants to really buy and sell around the holidays, so it's probably not a good time. But actually, that's really not the case, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think that's probably one of the best times because there's such a viewpoint of, I'm going to take a break of, above buying. I'll just put it off till the new year.
Right.
But since we saw that dramatic decrease in the interest rates from last weekend, it was 8%.
Yeah.
And we all had like sad faces, like boo. And then what was it, Monday? 7.125 came across.
Yeah.
That was like one of the biggest drops.
I mean, that was, like for that
Crazy.
in that short amount of time for it to move that much was
It's like
exciting.
peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys.
Right.
So it was very, very exciting. And I'm not sure what you experienced out there in the field, but what I saw was uh, people coming back in
Mhm.
that very short period of time. It's like, oh my gosh, now's our chance.
Right.
And with the increased inventory, there's opportunity.
Right.
And with the 40% of homes on the market having a price cut,
Mhm.
that's exciting to me.
Right.
And I try to tell my clients, don't wait for the house for the price to drop.
Right.
Get in before, because
Mhm.
once that price drops, if a seller does a price adjustment, then everybody who has shown the home will get notification, or their agent will get notification of the price drop.
Yep.
They might circle back and try to see that house, and it can spark and renew some interest.
Right.
Then you're back to competition.
Right.
So look at the houses that have been on the market for a little bit,
Right.
and before the price decrease,
Yeah.
and get your offers in at that point. And then
Right.
you have a better opportunity of negotiating price, negotiating inspections,
Yeah.
and getting a lot more on the buyer side.
Oh, absolutely. Because I mean,
So-
sometimes when they do these price drops and then the competition respurs, it actually goes up to where it was dropped from. You know,
Isn't that wild?
it is. So it's like it's good to be ahead of it.
Mhm.
And that's kind of your best opportunity to get in there and slip in some of these pieces that you want, protections that you want as a buyer, and be able to negotiate a little bit more on the price there.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing I know that we're doing on our team is we're really focusing on monthly payments,
Right.
as opposed to those interest rates.
Right.
So if you can refocus the attention to, okay, what is the monthly bottom line here?
Mhm.
What are we dealing with monthly? Can we do it that way?
Yep.
Then that's a lot easier to take
Right.
in
Yeah.
than just being stuck on the interest rate.
Right. Right.
Because people typically don't know what their interest rate is on their car loan,
Mhm.
and they definitely don't know what their interest rate is on their credit cards.
Right.
And they use them regularly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. For sure.
so the only hang up that they get are the housing interest rates,
Mhm.
which is very interesting to me. So we try to focus on those monthly payments. The really exciting news here is that the home prices continue to be, they continue to increase. Not that it's exciting, but the values are increasing.
Right.
So year over year, people who got into housing last year, the year before, they're seeing tremendous equity in
Yep.
their homes,
Yep.
where they may have thought that they missed the boat and they
Right.
bought high,
Right.
quote unquote.
Right. Right.
They're like super excited
Yeah.
when they see, oh my gosh, I have X amount of appreciation already,
Right.
year over year.
Right.
So that to me is very, very exciting.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, when you can bring it away from just the interest rate and bring it back to like, this is what you'll be paying a month. Like, can you afford that? Is that like, are you cutting things too close with that monthly payment? If it works with your budget, like, don't think about, well, if it was at 5%, I would only be paying this much month.
Oh my gosh.
Get the house if you can afford where it is right now. And then if they drop in the future, you have the home that you have already secured. You can refi. You can, I mean, and it does, like, it costs money to refinance. It's not like when rates drop, it's just like, sweet, refi and you don't have to pay anything. Like, there are, closing costs, like whatnot. But as you're looking at the numbers, you've already got the property. So
Mhm.
if it makes sense to refinance later, you can do it. If you wait till interest rates come down, you might not like the competition's gonna go through the roof.
And then you'll pay more for the house.
Yeah.
So there's never a perfect
Exactly.
time. Like
Yeah.
there's never that Goldilocks time where it's going to be perfection in the market.
Right.
It's just not going to happen.
Right.
You're going to either have the higher interest rates, but it's going to be a more stable housing price and you can negotiate better as a buyer. Or when the interest rates drop, you're going to have the competition of other buyers again.
Right.
And you're going to have to waive inspection contingencies, other contingencies, pay more to any appraisal deficit,
Mm-hmm.
pay higher price point.
Yeah.
It's just the way that our local market is today.
Right.
And
Right.
that's what we're still seeing. I mean, this weekend, I put an offer in for a client and they had 10 offers.
Yeah.
and it went, I don't know what the price was, but I was trying to get a little insider information. But my calculation, it was probably almost 100,000 over asking price.
Yeah.
So
those days are not gone.
Those days are not gone.
Right.
So I know people hear that, oh, the market's cooling, and it is in some areas.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It definitely is in some areas of the United States. But in our local area, and depending on the house, it's still very, very hyper competitive.
Absolutely. Right. And I think one of those like things that is important to keep in mind when you look at national headlines, that could be, that's national. Like real estate is super local, and it matters if you're buying here or you're selling here, it matters what's going on here.
Right. Exactly. So turn off that national news.
Right.
Don't listen to that.
Yeah.
And tune into your local agent that has all the knowledge, that has all the data, that can go over the buying process, give you the information, answer all your questions, guide you on how to write the strongest offer within your budget, within your timelines, within those constraints, and try to get out there and get into properties sooner than later, because time is still of the essence.
Yeah.
But that is what's really, really important when you're trying to get into your house.
Right. And I mean, yeah, if there is something that you see that you want to get into, like even if, in general, in some of these different pockets, days on market is ticked up a little bit. If it is a hot property, it is going to go very quickly,
It is.
So
it is.
Yeah, I mean, and I love it when, the listing agent will say, if you see it as a coming soon, you get on there, you book your appointment for that like first day or that first weekend, like depending on when it hits. And then, a follow-up question that you're always asking right away, especially like after you get in and your client likes it, is, or leading up, if you see that there've been a lot of appointments, have you set an offer deadline, blah, blah, blah. Like it's always, I love it when the agent is like, we're letting it go through the weekend. Like we want to let like people to get a chance to get in there to see it. I mean, that doesn't stop you from, there's nothing that would prevent you from putting in a very strong offer and saying, I want the deadline to be sooner. But yeah, things are
But then if they're going to let it go through the weekend.
Yeah.
You have to be prepared.
Yeah.
And as an agent, if I get that feedback from listing agents, as a buyer's agent, I will stay in constant contact with that listing agent throughout the weekend.
Yep.
How's our offer looking?
Right.
How many other offers came
right.
in?
Yes.
Just to get
absolutely.
any kind of info.
And still like get yours in right away. Like when you're on like the listing side of stuff, like it just puts such a good view of the agent when they like submit the feedback, call with like their questions, say that they're putting an offer in, and then put the offer in the time that they said that they were going to. And you don't have to be kind of like chasing people down like, hey, you still writing that?
Right.
So yeah, it's always good to just get out there and like get it in right away, even if there is a deadline set for later. And then if as you're continuing to talk to the agent, it turns out that maybe you don't feel that you're top of the pile there, you can always update it.
You can totally update it.
Yeah.
And send a fresh one over.
Yep.
With amendments, changes. There's always time before the deadline. So never stop advocating for your clients. That's what we do.
Right.
But you're right. It's just constant. You have to stay on top of it. There's so many agents I know that we have worked with that they don't do that. Have you found an offer in your inbox and you didn't even, you're like, where did this come from?
Right.
Like nobody texted me, nobody called me.
Right.
I have no idea where this came from.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I know. It's wild.
It happens. It happens a lot.
Right. Then let's see. We've got.
Logan Madashami, he wrote an article also on Housing Wire about have mortgage rates peaked for this cycle?
Mm-hmm.
Because we just talked about, they were into the 8s and they dipped dramatically, which was so exciting.
Yeah.
So I was looking back at some data that Tom provided to us. We have these weekly market updates and we stay on top of it because we do like to inform our clients and have the latest and greatest information. And the forecast for the average 30-year fixed mortgage rate for 2024 all the big players here. We have Fannie Mae, we have the Mortgage Bankers Association, and we have Goldman Sachs. And I think, Sarah, we talked about where we speculated the rates to go. I think I speculated that they were still going to be in the eights.
Mm-hmm.
But for Q1 of 2024, all the big players are speculating still the low sevens. Mortgage Bankers Association is forecasting 6.8%. So they're forecasting that it goes under 7.
Wow.
And then into Q2 of next year, pretty much the same for Fannie Mae and Goldman Sachs, the low sevens. But the MBA is saying even 6.6%. They're staying in the sixes.
Yeah.
And then by Q3, all the players pretty much are into this Q3 and Q4, they're into the sixes.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think that's probably more in line. And I've said this before because I think it's an election year that really plays a part.
Right.
Because, the housing market is a big, big part of the economy. Mm-hmm. And when that's humming along, it really, the economy's humming along.
Right.
There's so many outstanding entities involved in the housing market, from lenders to contractors and blah, 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 go down the list. So it really keeps the economy humming along. And I think, no matter what side you're on as far as politics, that is important for all politicians to have an economy that's running better than not.
Yes.
So I think we're going to continue to see the drop in the interest rates.
Oh, that's great.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh my gosh.
So that's kind of where we are with as far as our inventory data. So what do you think, Sarah? Are we at the beginning of the end of the housing recession?
Yes.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I'm really feeling that it's going to be more positive. People are going to have, especially since the interest rates have dipped and people are very receptive to that.
Right. Well, and it's so funny because like when they shot up above 7 initially, it was like the end of the world.
Right.
And then all they have to do is go to 8, go back to 7. All of a
Right.
sudden,
And it's like
looking better. Like you're feeling more confident about
not
it.
So bad.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then again, wait till we get to the 6s. It's going to be, it's going to just really trigger a lot of people coming back into the market. So advice now, definitely if you're considering buying, get with your agent and start the process now around the holidays. It's a great time.
Right.
It's the opportunities there.
And I mean, even for like if you're thinking about listing your home, I know it can feel like a lot to do that around the holidays, but like around the holidays are when people really decorate and like their homes look beautiful, like they put that extra effort into, well, not everybody does. And some people throughout the year are, great at always, having the home like, oh, it's spring. I've got all my spring stuff up. It's fall. But like winters, I feel like if you're only going to do one season, when you often like get the stuff out and put up the lights and decorate. So homes show very well once we get into that holiday season.
They do. And people can then envision their families starting traditions, whether it be Thanksgiving traditions or the holiday traditions, New Year's Eve, things like that. Then people, when they come into homes and they can see, wow, I could see our family here celebrating. Yeah. So to me, it's great around the holidays to buy and sell. As sellers, there's less competition. So as a seller, if you want to prep your home and get it on the market, chances are you're going to get under contract pretty quickly if it's positioned properly in the market. Right. So once you're under contract, there's no more showings. Right. For the most part. Right. So then you can enjoy your holidays. You can plan and pack for January. Right. And then you already know you're secure knowing where you're going to be for 2024. Right. No, I think it's great. All right. Well, yes, if that kind of wraps up that section there, we will take a quick break, and we've got another exciting topic when we get back.
For the best local mortgage service and great rates on your money, look no further than Mortgage America. We've been operating in the greater Philadelphia area for 40 years with a focus on smooth, easy access to home purchasing. Whether you're a first-time buyer, upsizing or downsizing, or just refinancing, we have programs for you. We also have closing cost assistance programs and access to subsidized interest rates. Pre-approval is free, no costs or commitments. To learn more, visit our website at mymortgageamerica.com or give us a call at 610-439-8000. We always have a person available to take your call with around-the-clock human service. Purchase your home with the personalized, local service you find at Mortgage America.
Mortgage America is an equal housing lender. NMLS 128501. When you're getting a mortgage, you shouldn't have to sacrifice great service just to get a great rate. At Mortgage America, we've been lending with this philosophy for over 35 years. We have access to great low rates without the complications and delays of big or online banks. We're a local Pennsylvania lender with loan officers that you can actually meet. As PHFA's #1 lender, we specialize in all residential mortgage programs, including first-time buyer programs and low down payment options. For your free pre-approval, call us at 610-439-8000 or apply online at mymortgageamerica.com. Mortgage America is an equal housing lender. NMLS 128501.
I'm Tom Toole of the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line. If you're thinking of becoming a real estate agent in the greater Philly area, I have a special offer for you. Our team did $165 million of volume in 2021, making us the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania and a top 1% team nationally. Our agents love us because we offer them a successful career, a great life, and an unbeatable culture. Agents who've been with us for at least a year average 30-plus sales. Even our brand new agents average 17 to 24 sales a year. We offer proven systems and expert training. We help you set more appointments and sell more houses. Now here's the offer. If you don't have a real estate license yet, we offer real estate scholarships so you can get one for free. Check it out at realestatescholarshipprogram.com or visit the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line at tomtoole.com. That's tomtoole.com. Get more out of your real estate career, and remember the real estate golden rule. You always get more when you work with Tom Toole.
Have you considered a career in real estate? Do you want control over your income? Whether you have a license or not, call us today at 610-692-6976 or visit tomtoole.com. Join our team, the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line.
So we're back, and we're going to cover some news about what I think broke last week or the week before. No, it was last week. My weeks are running together here. But news broke about a verdict for the Sitzer-Burnett lawsuit. And in case you've been living under a rock out there, the Sitzer-Burnett lawsuit was, so there was, luckily for us, RE/MAX had decided to settle the lawsuit. So they settled for $55 million, which is no small change, but they settled out of court. They didn't want to drag it out. They felt like it just wasn't worth it. But the other plaintiffs that were left to go to trial were NAR, and we have our own opinion about NAR, Home Services of America, and Keller Williams Realty. So it was an 11-day trial, and the NAR and the two co-defendants, they were found liable in the federal Sitzer-Burnett trial, and it challenged the MLS rules and the real estate compensation model, basically. Mm-hmm. So there was an 8-person jury, and they deliberated, and they found the defendants guilty. And I believe the verdict was $1.7 billion, $1.8 billion.
Yeah, I think it's $1.8
billion. Now, this is definitely going to be appealed.
Right.
So all the agents that were out there this past week with hair on fire and like totally losing their minds, we're not going to see anything major happen in, the near future. This is going to be appealed for sure.
Right.
So the case covers the Missouri markets of Kansas City, St. Louis, Springfield, and Columbia. And the association, NAR, they indicated that the rules prioritize consumers, support market-driven pricing, and promote business competition. And this matter is not close to being final, as we will appeal the jury's verdict.
Right.
Now, interesting enough, NAR had some deck chairs shifting also in this past week.
Right.
Yes.
Yep.
So the CEO of NAR stepped down sooner than later.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, they put in a temporary, an interim CEO, Nikea Wright. I hope I'm enunciating her name properly.
Mm-hmm.
So that's other news with NAR. So NAR has its own problems, and then
Right.
they decided to let's go to court on this lawsuit, and they were found guilty.
Right.
So they have bigger problems.
Mm-hmm.
But it is going to be appealed. So that's what we do know going forward.
Right. Well, what also was interesting about this article was just saying how it said it was the most commented on NYT post on Halloween, so last Tuesday. Just a lot of people commenting. Unfortunately, most of it was negative towards agents, towards just real estate agents and people in the industry. Just
They had to stop the comments.
Right.
They had to
shut it
shut
down.
down the comments because they were so negative.
Right. Right.
So, and I understand. I mean, we talk about this a lot too. Real estate agents have a bad reputation, right?
Mhm.
I mean, I think they say that we rank up there in the lines of used car salesmen, not to demean anybody here, but,
Right,
that's
right.
kind of where we are. But I know that we as a team, being professional and having all the information and advocating 100% for our clients,
Right.
that's what we really focus on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why our team focuses heavily on training
Mm-hmm.
and knowing the ins and outs of contracts. And we can lean on each other for support in case we have questions or things come up.
Right. And I mean, just like demonstrating throughout the process your value and why you are, in fact, there.
Right. Why am I here?
Right. Because there's a ton of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that the client is most likely not even aware of,
Yes.
So just really, letting them know at the beginning when you do that buyer's consultation, all of the pieces, as well as like the listing presentation, just so that they're aware of all of the things that are going on. And it's funny, I think, when in some cases where to the client's eyes, the transaction was very smooth. And it's like, what did you even have to get paid for? You didn't do anything. Like that just moved along seamlessly. That's what you saw.
Right.
And some transactions do go that way, but for the most part, there is a lot of things going on under the radar that need to be like hammered out, ironed out, worked out. And, just like building good relationships across the industry with other agents and just, really like communicating everything.
Communicating
goes a long way.
But there is so much that goes on beyond behind the scenes.
Yeah.
That people don't realize.
Right.
And if your client says to you, "Wow, it was so smooth," that's what you want to hear.
Right. You don't want them to know all of
right. You
Yeah.
don't want them. But see, sometimes we do take on a lot of that angst for
Mhm.
them. That's our role, is to make sure it is running smoothly
Right.
and meeting all the deadlines. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
They stay within the deadlines of their contract, so they don't fall out of contract. So
Right.
they're not like in breach of anything.
Right. Right.
And that's what our job is, and that's what we do. They might not know these things.
Right.
And that's okay, but this is why we get a bad reputation too, because people think, what do you do for that commission? Well, there's a lot. There's a lot that goes on.
Right. Right.
But yeah, it was interesting because they had to shut down the comments because of all the negativity.
Right. Right.
Right.
Well, and it's such a big, like, it's such a big purchase, both like the finance, like all of the money that goes into it, but then also
Mhm.
just like the emotions. Like it can be a real roller coaster ride, even if things go smoothly. But if you have a bad experience in that, it does stick with you, and you are gonna tell everyone about it, and you are gonna have very strong feelings, So I'm not surprised. I mean, people were either like, you comment if either it's like super positive or super negative. Like if it was just like, yeah, went fine, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like you're probably not going to be inclined to go on and comment on things. if you look at not just for like real estate, but for like anything, it's always, if people are posting opinions and commenting, it's like usually more negative than positive, just because that's where people feel like, yes, I need to go out and let everybody know.
Exactly.
So it's not surprising, but
Kind of disappointing that
Right.
they were such negativity.
right. Yeah.
So there was an article too about Grant Cardone and his opinion on the Sitzer Burnett verdict.
Mhm.
So he says the judge got it completely wrong. Now I know that we had gone over some of the testimony and what some of the witnesses were stating.
Mhm.
There were some that were stating that their transaction was smooth. They didn't have any complaints.
Right.
And
And we're like,
you
just
and I
felt
were like, well, what's
the
this
problem?
all about?
Yeah.
So his main takeaways, Grant Cardone's main takeaways was that, first of all, number one, it's ridiculous. Number two, it will only benefit the litigators, which we kind of figured that out anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And number three, the judge got it completely wrong, and I believe it will be appealed. Well, that is true. The appeals are happening.
Right.
So that's a definite. So everybody, just hold back now, because the appeals are going to take place, and then we'll have to see how they pan out and will they come to some type of settlement. But honestly, so the litigators in this, representing sellers, which, by the way, since the verdict, there's been numerous other copycat lawsuits
Oh,
against
gosh, of
other
course.
brokerage firms. Yes.
Yeah.
They're just like popping up all over the place.
Right.
So the litigators who are saying that, real estate agents aren't, or they're litigating that the compensation isn't negotiable, I wonder how negotiable their
Oh my gosh, I know.
rates are.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's so
Right. Was that
kind
a
of
set? Was that a set
Right.
fee? Was that a
40%?
percentage? Was it a right? Like,
right.
Yeah.
Now, how did that get negotiated?
Right.
So, I don't know. It's interesting, and it's going to be interesting. But I know locally, most of the things, from my understanding, which was in the settlement for Remax, we had already been implementing. Our MLS has already been implementing. Everything is full disclosure as far as compensation.
Mhm.
Our broker accepts whatever the cooperating broker is paying out as compensation.
Yep.
And again, we have to get back to, as agents, knowing our value, knowing our worth. What are we bringing to the table here to help people out? The whole reason there became buyer's agency was because consumers were getting scammed.
Right.
They were getting burned.
Right.
So you either had to deal with a listing agent, which then that could be,
Problematic.
yes, yeah, that's putting it nicely. Or you try to go it alone.
Right.
And try to understand contracts and meet deadlines and stay within the confines of the contingencies. And good luck with that. If you've never been through it before, or even if you have, it's very stressful.
Right.
So there's a lot involved. And the other thing is too, or buyers have to hire attorneys.
Right.
Well, there you go. So you're going to have fees somewhere, or you're going to have major problems somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's how buyer agency came about.
Right.
That's how we became cooperating brokers.
Mhm.
So it protects the consumer. And I feel like this is going, 2 steps back, because if you don't have that protection on the other side, first of all, your transactions are going to go,
Oh my gosh.
can you imagine? Sometimes they go sideways for ridiculous reasons
Right.
anyway. It's just going to be a
Absolutely.
nightmare.
Yeah.
Secondly, how are listing agents going to take on the whole entire role? Are they going to be doing all the showings?
Right.
Because if a buyer calls them, they're going to have to show. Somebody has to open the door, right?
Right.
You're protecting your seller's interest,
Mhm.
so you're going to have to be there with the buyers.
Right.
Are you going to be able to, is the seller going to accept that you're going to negotiate both sides?
Right.
I mean, there's just so much
It has.
conflicting.
Yeah. It would be very easy for that to get hairy quickly. And yeah, if you are now, in addition to representing the seller and doing everything that you already be doing on that end, if you are now expected to go out and show the home to every buyer, like, are you going to have to pre-qual each of them? Like, you're going to have to set up like certain parameters so that you're not just running out there for like, just like constantly for people that aren't qualified to buy the home. And then if you're going out to let these different, you know, people in, I would want a higher percentage of a commission because I'm doing all like, you're doing
You're
all of
doing
it. So you're
everything.
not like I don't think it's going to save any money. Plus, if the buyers need to pay for representation out of pocket, they have less to put towards the house,
Right. Where's that coming from? It's already, everybody complains about unaffordable
Right.
housing.
Right.
So now you're going to ask for buyers. Not only do they have to come up with a down payment,
Mhm.
but they're going to have to come up with money to pay for representation, whether it be a lawyer or an agent,
Right.
and all the other costs that go along with buying a house.
Right.
So it's again, it's going to be a strain on buyers, and anybody that is having VA financing, they don't pay
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
buyer's agency.
Right.
So it's I don't know. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think much is going to change really
Right.
because I think consumers need to be protected. They really, really do.
Well,
Pennsylvania.
do they have like, is it 5 years that they have to appeal it? I'm not that I think they would wait that long to do it, but
I don't know the time frame to
yeah.
appeal.
because it'll be interesting to see when they announce that it's being appealed and then what, how quickly it.
And where the appeal goes to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's again, this is definitely not over.
You're going to hear us talking about it again.
Yes, and Grant Cardone, he has. Now let's see his background here. I mean, he's done so many sales in real estate. Okay, so over the years, he has purchased in 8 different states with 12,000 units and 8 to 10 homes to his name. And he says he has never ever not used a buyer's agent when he was making his purchases.
Right.
So, there's value in having someone represent you. And I think we went over, like we talked about a minute ago, about what we do in the background that buyers wouldn't even know. I mean, Sarah, how many new clients come to you, new buyers come to you with no idea of the process?
Right. Yeah. I mean, over 50%.
Deer in headlights.
Yes.
Like,
Right.
I just want to go look at the house.
Right. Right. Right.
Right. So, and that's where they're starting from.
Mm-hmm.
So who's going to sit down with them and go over the process and lead them in the right direction and really
Right.
represent them to their, to 100%.
Right.
And not split it between, seller and buyer.
Right.
And I don't care if you're doing dual agency, there's always a perception that somebody else is getting the better end.
Right.
There is.
Yeah.
It can become very complicated, and then you have both sides upset,
Mm-hmm.
and then your transaction could fall apart.
Right. And there's no buffer to go between to have things right. It gets tricky. I mean, I think even in cases where the transaction on paper looks very straightforward, very all these different things are waived, we're basically just getting to settlement. There's still the
There's
potential for something to come up and then that is going to be hyper focused on because that's the one thing that you have to negotiate out, So yeah, I think that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, I think it could definitely be if the whole buyer agency would go away, which I don't see that happening. I really don't. I don't see that happening. And then Grant Cardone goes on to say that he's hired an agent to represent him to make sure that all his rights were protected.
Mm-hmm.
Check. He got the best price. Check. And that he goes on to say that as a buyer's agent, it's nothing compared to what they can get done for you as a buyer. And he also said he would never ask for a discount for his buyer's agents because he understands the importance and he understands the magnitude of work that's being done behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
I know that you and I have both come in contact where people ask for rebates or discounts and things like that. And that's fine. You can ask.
Right.
Whether you'll get that or not are two different things.
Right.
But it always, I find I have to really explain to them what that means.
Right.
Because basically it means that you're asking for part of my paycheck.
Right.
So if I turned around and asked you for part of your paycheck,
Right.
how would you feel?
Right. Right. Yeah. It's right. Like this is how we make our living, you know, which I think sometimes like kind of goes over.
And people really don't understand the magnitude of the work. But from the very onset of a contract, so a house goes on the market, the seller negotiates all the terms in the contract with the listing agent and the broker. That's already predetermined in the contract.
Right.
The seller has options. They can negotiate everything.
Yeah.
So when they sign off on that contract, then that's what it is.
Right.
So there is a cooperating broker fee that is shared out to the buyer's agent or the buyer's agent's broker for bringing a buyer to the house and to be managing that side of the transaction. That's all been settled before. Like it's all agreed upon.
Right.
So for sellers to say that they didn't know and that they agreed under duress.
Right.
Then I just that's hard to believe.
And if you were having a listing consultation with an agent, you want to sell your home and you're feeling as though you're being pressured, like sign right now or I'm not going to be your agent, or well then maybe you shouldn't have that agent. Like if you need a minute to because they can feel a little bit overwhelming, the contracts, as you're looking through them. And I know we always explain each part of what everything is, but I've many a time had clients say, this all sounds good, but I need, I'm not signing anything right now. And then, you continue to stay in touch, and then hopefully within like a reasonable time, when you get it signed. So you have time to go look things up or make calls or interview other agents or so I think a little bit of it has to fall, like you have a little bit of responsibility here as well to be informed.
Absolutely, 100%, because it is important. And if your agent can't explain to you a contract, then you should find another agent that can.
Right.
I know that our team puts big time focus on knowing the ins and outs of those contracts and being able to explain it in layman's terms.
Right.
There's part of the contracts that are, you have to go over and be able to explain it. And it's not so clear cut.
Right.
So you want to be able to go through point by point and answer those questions and have the sellers feel comfortable.
Right.
And have them understand what this fee is going towards and how, if they would decide to sell it off market or to do it on their own, to do a for sale by owner on Zillow or wherever they want to list it, how that can negatively affect them.
Right.
Because it's proven in the MLS data that they'll sell for almost 17% less. So you're going to get, if you work with a trusted agent, you're going to get 17% more than what you could get if you did it on your own.
Right. Plus, have them do it.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
What's your marketing plan? What are you talking about? Yeah. So where are you going to advertise your house? Oh, I'm just going to put it on Zillow and have a handwritten sign in the yard.
Right, right. Oh
and then what happens if a buyer comes to you?
Yeah, I know.
So
there's so much potential for it to just go sideways.
Oh, yeah. Only because we've been through it.
Right.
And this is our profession. This is what we do. And we've seen things go sideways. It can go from 0 to 60 in like 2 seconds.
Right, right. Absolutely.
So that being said, that New York Times coverage, that was the most commented on article. And they had to shut down the comments because of the negativity. And the other thing, too, is Bob Goldberg did step down from NAR. I think they're going to try to change their reputation going forward. That's my take on this, because they put Nakia Wright in. Now, her background is apparently she did a lot of marketing.
Okay.
So I think NAR, if they want to advocate for agents, I think they really need to do a lot more promotion about what we do, how we do it, and how important our roles are.
Right.
I know that there's some fees that we all pay towards the NAR, and we talked about where those fees are going. So I think that some of those fees can go towards some really good marketing to show our worth too.
Right. I agree.
So that's going to wrap up that segment. And when we get back, we are going to talk about Zillow. Big surprise. Zillow buys Follow Up Boss. So tune in with us in a few minutes and when we come back.
When you're getting a mortgage, you shouldn't have to sacrifice great service just to get a great rate. At Mortgage America, we've been lending with this philosophy for over 35 years. We have access to great low rates without the complications and delays of big or online banks. We're a local Pennsylvania lender with loan officers that you can actually meet. As PHFA's #1 lender, we specialize in all residential mortgage programs, including first-time buyer programs and low down payment options. For your free pre-approval, call us at 610-439-8000 or apply online at mymortgageamerica.com.
Mortgage America's equal housing lender, NMLS 1285001.
The Tom Toole Sales Group is the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania with over $165 million in volume for 2021. I'm Tom Toole, and our team has achieved that kind of success by being a great place to work with and to work for. No one knows Greater Philly better than we do. We know real estate, but more importantly, we're real people. We hire the best agents, and we give them all the tools to succeed. Even our brand new agents sell 17 to 24 homes a year because our team delivers the best experience in real estate. Teams deliver a better experience than individuals, and we're a top 1% real estate team in the country. We call it AAA service. We're your advocate, ally, and advisor. Because this isn't a transaction to us, it's a relationship. If you're buying or selling a home, call the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX main line at 610-692-6976 or visit tomtoole.com. That's tomtoole.com. Sell your home for more, and remember the real estate golden rule. You always get more when you work with Tom Toole.
You shouldn't have to deal with all the red tape when getting your mortgage from a big or online bank. At Mortgage America, we have access to big bank money, but with the personalized and detailed service of a local bank. We are here in your community and ready to serve with fast settlements, low down payment options, and first-time homebuyer programs. Pre-approval is free, no costs or commitments. For more information, visit our website at mymortgageamerica.com or give us a call at 610-439-8000.
Mortgage America's equal housing lender, NMLS 1285001.
Have you considered a career in real estate? Do you want control over your income? Whether you have a license or not, call us today at 610-692-6976 or visit tomtoole.com. Join our team, the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX main line.
All right, welcome back to our final segment here for today's show. We are going to talk about Zillow. I feel like we haven't talked a ton about Zillow the last couple of episodes, so we're due. This section we're going to talk about, Zillow has acquired a CRM called Follow Up Boss. So, this is a company that I think they've come in and acquired quite a few companies over the past couple years. Rather than kind of like building some of the things internally, they've been trying to basically create this one-stop shop where they're kind of just taking pieces that are already in place and incorporating it into their business model. So Follow Up Boss was the most recent acquisition. And, there's a couple different opinions out there and people are concerned, particularly agents that use Follow Up Boss.
Exactly.
They are worried that information that they put into the CRM, which, this is where if you're prospecting, if you have clients, this is where you input everybody so that you can, and I'm not familiar with Follow Up Boss, but I'm assuming it is the same as most of the others where you can set tasks, to-dos, reminders, and this is like where you go to house all of their information so that you're not like flipping through notepads.
Right.
So they're concerned if Zillow has, acquired all that information that they have, possibly for years been inputting into this will Zillow basically take it?
Right. And agents who have been building relationships with clients, it could be their sphere, their family.
Mm-hmm.
You're putting all this information into the CRM. I mean,
Right.
we put all our sphere and our family and friends into the CRM.
Mm-hmm.
And then here comes Zillow and they buy the company.
Right.
So, it is concerning. You do wonder about where that information is going. But Zillow has acquired Dotloop, and we use Dotloop.
Right. And I think people were worried about that when they first got Dotloop. Like, you're going to see that I'm inputting, I'm writing a contract. You're going to know about it. Like,
but they do. They pull the data from that.
Yeah.
So that is true.
They do.
They pull the data from that so they know, where in regions what housing contracts are going for and if the acceptance rate. I mean, there's a lot of data in Dotloop for sure. So it is concerning. They purchased Showing Time.
Yep.
That's another huge one.
Right.
Every showing gets scheduled
Through Showing Time.
Through Showing Time. So per property, per area, they know how many showings at what price points. I mean, it's so much data.
Right. How quickly from putting it up did showings, right.
Yep.
There's just all different.
To going under contract, to scheduling an inspection, to scheduling the appraisal. It's just mind-blowing how much data is in Showing Time. So Zillow has that.
Right.
So, they're the tech monster here, and now they have a CRM.
Right.
And agents, rightfully so, should be concerned. So here's some of the concerns. So a couple of people posted on social media, I can't get away from Zillow. Everywhere I turn, it's like people texting me for a health insurance quote. They're always there. That is so annoying.
Right.
I cried when I heard this today. I'm devastated that Follow Up Boss has gone to the dark side. I'm sure it was a very big payday for Follow Up Boss, but it was a very bad marketing decision as it will drive people away. I guess grab the money while you can. I'm so glad I didn't sign up last week in Nashville.
Right.
So these are some concerned agents,
right?
They're expressing, their disappointment and their worry.
Right. And then now Follow Up Boss has, responded to some of these saying that, like, there is nothing to worry about. We wouldn't have agreed to this acquisition if we weren't confident that we could keep your customer data safe and protected. Zillow can't access or use your customer data. And then they did go on to say they're also going to engage a third-party validator unaffiliated with Follow Up Boss or Zillow to make sure of that. And, we appreciate the trust that you've placed in us over the years, blah, 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 blah. So, but I think even with that being said, people are concerned. Now, I don't know how easy it would be to pull your data. Like, I'd have to be pretty sure that some shady stuff was going on. If you had to, like, manually re-enter, like, if you then got a different CRM, like, and you were going to bring your data over, like, I don't know if there's a way to, like, just, grab it and then, like, export it. Or if you had to just re-enter all of that in, like, something would have to be going down to really make me want to do that. That would be a lot of work.
So say you didn't feel comfortable with Follow Up Boss anymore because Zillow owns it.
Right.
And you wanted to get into a new CRM.
Yeah.
How do you do that? Like, is it like one person at a time, or can you just import some data? I don't think it's that easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be very, very concerning.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not, because I doubt, like, they wouldn't want you to be, like, they want you to kind of feel tied in to whatever CRM you're in. Yeah.
It's like Apple with the music and, the iCloud.
Right.
Once they get you hooked, you're in. You're
not going anywhere.
Right. So, I could see where that would be very concerning. Now, I get it. Okay. So everybody always says, your customer data is going to be safe and protected. Okay, Wawa said the same thing. Big data breach there. Target says the same thing. Huge data breaches. All this stuff can be infiltrated and will be. It will be. That's the truth. Now, and I know that Zillow is going to use the data and use the information. And they'll probably say, well, they're our clients anyway because they were in our system at one point.
Right. Yeah.
That could be potentially what they're saying too. But it's Zillow getting bigger and bigger. I agree with you, Sarah. They want to be the one-stop shop. they want to have, they want to build a super app
Right.
and have the ultimate consumer experience.
Right. Well, I guess the concern there could be, like, honestly, what might be a bigger concern is not that, like, Zillow's going to get your, the data that you've put in there of your clients and then, like, reach out and be like, hey, I heard you're thinking of selling or you're, blah, blah, blah. It may be more so that, like, the way that Zillow gets paid is when they connect you. There's a certain time frame from you getting, like, connected through Zillow to this client in which, like, they get paid. So maybe trying to, like, link up things even if it wasn't connected that way.
Totally.
Yeah.
They're going to be able to get that money grab for sure.
Yeah.
Zillow gets bigger and bigger.
Yep.
And that was our exciting week in real estate.
That's right. And we are getting played out. So, tune in next week. We are, you can follow me at Toole Time. And Stacy, what's your Instagram?
To Mitchko. So come follow us, give us a like, share,
And
all that good stuff.
We'll be back next week.
And Tom will too.
Yes.
Promise.
All right. Bye.